let's take a step back. Talk about what you inherited. What was the Department of Energy doing before your leadership under Joe Biden? What were their priorities? What were their investments? What was their worldview? And how does your now daily grind contrast with the last administration? You know, we talk a lot about, of course, the Ukraine-Russian war and ending that. We talk about the border. We talk about the economy. But the energy is literally, in the most literal sense, not metaphorically, the life force of a civilization. It is the lifeblood. You cannot have growth. You cannot have AI. You cannot have people flying from New York to L.A. affordably if you do not have energy. So talk about what you inherited. Talk about what the previous Department of Energy was doing, and then contrast that with your work.
Yeah, so the previous Department of Energy, as you heard for those 4 years, and you didn't hear a lot for them, they were kind of behind the scenes, but they were part of this all of government battle against climate change, as they would describe it. So all of the money, all the focus, all the effort was on wind, solar, batteries, and electric vehicles. Collectively, wind, solar, and batteries are 3% of United States energy, hundreds of billions of dollars. It's 3% of our energy. And everywhere they've achieved meaningful penetration, you get more expensive electricity prices. So just a train wreck that was not going to change the energy system of the United States. And in fact, they actively stood in front of natural gas, our fastest growing source of energy and our fastest growing export. You heard about the LNG pause, and I don't know if I have time to go into that, but they actually did a whole report before the pause that showed economically it was positive for the United States, and it was going to slightly lower greenhouse gas emissions, more LNG exports. And they hated that answer so much they buried the report, never spoke about it. Although when I got in, we found it. A much longer report than they ultimately released later. But just so, again, they were against energy, the energy that powers our world. They were willing to be dishonest, and they thought all of the nonsense they were doing was somehow going to stop climate change and make the world safer. Just, again, also completely contrary to the facts and the data. So it's been quite a change.